Last night by the president. He was given the highest honor, the Gershwin Award. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Juan.
Well, on Tuesday, two members of the group Climate Ground Zero and a photojournalist were arrested in West Virginia during a protest near the Shumate Dam, a sludge impoundment that holds back nearly 3 billion gallons of toxic coal waste in a sludge pond in southern West Virginia. It was the latest protest in a wave of actions against the nation's reliance on coal energy. On Monday, a large protest has been called at a coal-fired plant in Washington, D.C., in what organizers say will be the largest act of civil disobedience against global warming in this country. In the days leading up to the protest, youth climate activists are organizing a conference called Power Shift 09. Thousands of student activists plan to lobby lawmakers on Capitol Hill, urging them to rebuild the economy through bold climate and clean energy policy.
We're joined right now in Washington by two guests, Jesse Tolkien, Executive Director of the Energy Action Coalition, the lead group organizing Power Shift, and Danny Chiotis, member of the Student Environmental Action Coalition based in West Virginia. We're going to start with Jesse Tolkien. Tell us about this conference that's taking place. How many people you expect and what you're doing?
Sure. We expect nearly 11,000 young people to converge in Washington, D.C. from all 50 states and nearly every congressional district for 4 days of massive activity in the fight for a clean and just energy future through workshops and panels and keynote addresses and the largest single lobby day on climate and energy in our nation's history. Our goal is to demonstrate that there is massive public demand for bold solutions on climate and energy, and that the young people of this country demand urgent and bold action in 2009. You know, we voted in record numbers in this past election, and we've come to flex our new political muscle and make sure that our elected officials know that we are ready for action now.
And are there any main items that you're going to be pressing to the members of Congress when you go to lobby them that the entire group agrees on?
Absolutely. That's one of the most unique things about the Energy Action Coalition, the sponsoring organization of Power Shift 2009. We're a coalition of 50 really diverse organizations that range from young evangelicals to young people from indigenous communities across the country to college students. We have united around a bold vision for what we think needs to happen on climate change. Like the previous guest mentioned, we think it's essential that we pass bold climate legislation in 2009. We think the science demands it, our economic situation demands it, and the health of our communities demand it. We are pushing for aggressive short-term reductions on carbon in our country on the range of 25 to 40% reductions by the year 2020 and 80 to 95% reductions by the year 2050. We want an immediate moratorium on coal in this country. We want unprecedented levels of investment in clean energy infrastructure and technology. And we really want the Congress and the President to usher in a new green economy and help create millions of new green jobs. We think that addressing our climate and energy crisis in this country allows us to address so many of the top issues that our generation and Americans are dealing with right now. A troubled economic situation, unhealthy communities as a result of decades of production of dirty energy facilities, and that addressing climate change enables the United States to really redefine itself in the international community by taking the lead after 8 years of really being an obstruction to progress.
Jesse Tolkien, I'm looking at a piece in the British paper The Guardian about what's happening here, this massive amount of young people coming to Washington. It says the massive sign-up drive has generated a fierce rivalry between different universities to see who can bring the largest number of participants. With only 48 hours to go, Middlebury College trails the University of Vermont by only 4 participants, with 194 coming. Ben Wessel, who's leading the recruitment drive at Middlebury, says we're bringing 10% of our whole student body. Inspirational stories continue to pour in from around the country. One sorority in Texas has rescheduled its initiation because the dates conflicted with Power Shift, while a group in California started its epic train journey across the states to avoid having to fly. How did you organize this? How have you pulled this off? And where do you come from, Jesse Tolkien?
Well, I come from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, is my alma mater, where I got my start as a student activist in the late 90s. But what we see happening here is we see an emerging movement. We see young people from a variety of backgrounds, Latino and Latina, African American, Native American, from all walks of life, whether they're in that sorority in Texas or they're environmentalists at Middlebury, whether the sons and daughters of auto workers in Michigan or the granddaughters and grandsons of coal miners in West Virginia. We are a generation that has the most at stake right now. We will be around to see the worst implications of global climate change.
And where is the conference taking place?
The conference is happening at the Washington, D.C. Convention Center. We see all across the country that there is just an overwhelming desire of young people to stand up and do what young people have done in generations in the past, in movements in the past, and that is be out in front, pushing our country to bold action. And as I last checked, we were nearing 11,000 participants heading to Washington, D.C. this weekend. And those 11,000 young people represent hundreds and thousands of young activists across this country that will work tirelessly over the course of 2009 to ensure that our nation passes bold and aggressive climate legislation.
Danny Chiotis, so you're with the Student Environmental Action Coalition. You're going to be participating in the major civil disobedience on Monday. Explain what's happening, where it is, and why you're willing to get arrested.
On Monday, March 2nd, there's going to be over 2,500 people who participate in the largest act of civil disobedience in our nation's history around climate issues. People are coming from all walks of life to come out to this historic event for every reason that's been mentioned on the program so far, from the mix of exciting that I just heard from Jesse Tolkien to terrifying that I heard from the climate expert at the beginning of the program. People are coming together to stand up because now is a time for action. We're going to be pushing for a quick transition away from coal to renewable energies and energy efficiency. A moratorium on coal plants and the shutting down of existing coal plants and replacement of those coal plants with green energy.
What's the plant you're protesting?
It's the Capitol coal plant that's just blocks from the U.S. Capitol. It's providing the U.S. Capitol and federal buildings with heat and cooling. It's not an electricity generating plant, and this plant is a symbol of where our Congress is at right now. We need to push them to make that transition away from coal. And it's not just about this plant. This plant is a symbol of a bigger problem, that we're addicted to coal and that coal is killing people in West Virginia, in the communities that I come from. And we have the opportunity right now to transition to create millions of green jobs all around the country and ensure that the transition happens in the places where it's needed the most, and ensure workers in the coal industry and fossil fuels industry can find employment in these green